Hello, I'm SquidofLove. Welcome back. With the Prowler being recently introduced to the Star Citizen universe, the Dropship category is now somewhat richer, and this means that we have a lot more options to choose from when we are trying to decide which one of these ships is going to be the best for our next operation. Having more options could mean that it will be harder to take a decision, but at the same time, it could mean it will be easier to take a decision if we know exactly what we want to achieve and how. So this is what we are going to do today. We are going to take a look on the stats and the characteristics of the Redeemer and the Prowler and try to decide not only which one of these two ships is the best dropship, but also what kind of players and organizations will benefit the most by using one or the other, and what kind of operations will be the best for these two vessels. They do share some similarities on their design, but it's the differences they have that will determine which one of these two ships is going to be the best in different scenarios. And the number one difference we have to mention has to do with their primary role. Although both the Prowler and the Redeemer are considered as dropships, the Prowler is a dedicated dropship, is an armored personnel carrier, while the Redeemer was designed first as a gunship and secondary as a dropship. Something that we can very clearly see not only from the design and the schematics of these two vessels, but also from the crew requirements and the number of troops they can carry. By taking a closer look on the interior of the Prowler, we can very clearly see that it was designed as a dedicated dropship, as a ship to accommodate troops, and it can carry up to 16 persons at the same time. From this number, only 2 are required to fly the ship, the pilot and the co-pilot, so that means that it has a capacity of 14 troops. You can carry up to 14 marines, up to 14 friends, and attack a hostile target, deliver this sizable force in order to perform a boarding operation. Things are quite different on the Redeemer though. It has a maximum crew capacity of up to 5 persons, and it can also carry up to 6 troops, half the force that the Prowler can carry. And if we take a closer look on the design on the interior of the Redeemer, we can very clearly see that the location of the marine transport bay was something like an afterthought, a way to add extra functionality to the Redeemer, a way to increase its versatility and the number of operations it can undertake and fulfill. Of course, that doesn't mean that the Redeemer is not a good dropship. It only means that it is a different dropship than the Prowler, and its focus is more on versatility, an idea that is reinforced by the existence of a small cargo hold on the Redeemer, while the Prowler has 0 cargo capacity. Another great difference between these two vessels has to do with the way they are approaching this activity, the boarding operations as a whole. The Redeemer, being mainly a gunship with strong firepower, will be easier to get into the action with guns blazing, trying to soften its target, trying to destroy its defenses before it can start deploying its troops. While the Prowler has a more stealthy approach to the boarding operation, the goal of every Prowler pilot will be to approach its target undetected and deliver its troops without being noticed by the enemy. In order to achieve this goal, the design of the Prowler really helps, since it comes with low emission thrusters that minimize the ship's energy signature and help it remain undetected while approaching its target, but also the gravity emitters it has on its hull will help it navigate along uneven terrains such as landscapes or other ships. Capital ships, for example, it will be easy to approach an enemy ship in that way and try to find the right place to deploy your troops. Fundamental to the success of the Prowler as a stealth dropship is the revolutionary technology of the air shield, with 4 deployment portals along each side of each hull outfitted with an air shield that can be opened during flight in atmosphere or in deep space. The Prowler has the ability to rapidly deploy its troops, the troops it's carrying, whether it is approaching a capital ship, an enemy capital ship or installation, or is deploying its troops on the ground. On the Redeemer, on the other hand, the troops will have to deploy from the RAB on the rear part of the Redeemer, something that makes the whole approach somewhat risky, especially if the enemy is still strong, if its defenses are not fully destroyed. Or they can even try and use the docking collar that we can see on the marine transport bay, but this is not really a stealthy approach. The enemy will know that you are there, they will know that your troops are trying to get in their ship, and they will be waiting on the other side. So we can already see what kind of different scenarios and operations will be the best for these two vessels. the Redeemer with strong firepower and being a gunship will be much better option if you want to get into the action, if you want to get into a fight and try to deploy your troops in that way, while the Prowler can be used in order to surprise your enemies, deliver your troops while nobody is waiting for them, and try to destroy your target, take control of an enemy installation or ship from the inside quickly. Let's go ahead now and talk about some of the similarities of these two vessels and start with the twin nacelle design they both have. On the Redeemer, the vector lock thruster design is a system that is positioning the twin nacelles at optimal locations away from the ship's center of gravity, something that is increasing the overall stability of the vessel but also expanding the combat maneuvers available to the pilot, giving that way to the Redeemer pilot more control over its ship and increasing its maneuverability. That system also utilizes the exposed surface area to draw heat away from vital system parts and directly into the environment, minimizing that way possible wear and increasing the overall engine performance. On the Prowler now, the twin nacelle not only house the low emission thrusters, but they can also transform and gain additional functionality. When they are placed horizontally, they help with the Prowler's flight and increase its maneuvering capabilities, and when they are placed vertically, they can act as the landing gear of the ship. From this twin nacelle, when the ship is landed, also come out blades in order to provide cover for the troops and protect them from enemy fire. As for their defenses, they both have overall good shielding. The Redeemer has a size 6 shield, while the Prowler comes equipped with the Phalanx shield, a point defense shield that provides a very strong but limited protective phase. So we can understand that with the Prowler you might want to avoid dogfights, you might want to avoid fighting with other fighters, and this is because if an enemy fighter is faster and more maneuverable than you, can easily outmaneuver you and deal damage to an area of your ship that you cannot protect with your Phalanx shield. Thankfully, the Prowler also comes with a strong armor that will help it survive and get out of the area as fast as possible. And that of course helps the good speed that the Prowler reportedly has, and both of these vessels are reported to have good high speeds. The main difference is that the acceleration of the Prowler is slower, and this is in order to help it approach a target stealthily, but its SCM speed in the end is quite high, and by using your afterburner you can quickly get out of any nasty situation. Both of them have also impressive weaponry. Despite the fact that the Prowler is a dedicated dropship, it comes with some really strong firepower, as well as the Redeemer. Something that we have to mention is that the weaponry of the Redeemer will probably change in the future. More weapons will be added and it will become an even fearsome opponent. The main similarity on the weaponry of these two vessels has to do with the turrets they have. The Redeemer comes with two man turrets, one on the top and one on the bottom part of the hull, while the Prowler comes with a quite strong turret on the upper spine of the hull that can offer a 360 degrees protection, keep the ship intact, protect it from attackers, and of course keep the troops alive. From what we have seen so far, I can see the Redeemer as an excellent offensive option if you want to attack a target, soften its defenses before deliver your troops, or even go after fighters, trying to destroy as many opponents as possible. I can also imagine the Redeemer deploying its troops and then remain in the area, providing air support and make the job of the Marines as easy as possible. The Prowler, on the other hand, for me personally, seems to be the best option if you want to approach a target stealthily, deliver your troops and get out of the area as fast as possible without being noticed. It will not be wise to stay in the area when the enemy forces are coming towards your location. Something else that we have to mention is the fact that the Prowler will probably have a short range of operations, so you will need to rely on your fleet in order to launch your attack, in order to launch your boarding operation and try to deliver your troops stealthily to your target, while the Redeemer seems to have a better range of operation, seems to be a better option if you want to go farther and find different opportunities. It is quite obvious that the Redeemer will be a much better option for a player or a group of friends, a small organization that wants to be a bit more offensive, that want to have a bit more options and follow different styles, follow different gameplay in the verse. With the Redeemer, they can go around, try to find different opportunities to make money, try to offer their services as troop transport, as delivering troops to a certain location, or even do some trading with the small cargo haul. There is a certain level of freedom by operating a Redeemer, and you can always help your friends, you can always help a friendly organization with their boarding operations. The Prowler, on the other hand, will be much better in a military organization that wants to perform that kind of operation quite often. They want to take advantage of the good troops capacity and the stealth characteristics of the Prowler in order to approach their targets and try to board them, take control of their ships. In the end, both of these vessels are quite good as dropships. They are just different. They can perform a number of different boarding operations, and it depends on what you want to achieve in the verse. Let me know if you are the owner of one of these two vessels, if you own a Redeemer or a Prowler, and of course how you are planning to use them in the verse later. What will your priorities be when the game will be released and we will have access to these quite beautiful and interesting ships. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. I am SquidofLove, and I will see you around the verse. Bye bye.